In this channel, I talk a lot about classics. As of lately, I've been actually pondering on the work and the process that's being done behind these masterpieces and the process behind all of these great works. Because every time I watch a movie, a great film, I always tell myself, like, wow, the director probably spent years of his life trying to craft and put this all together. Or if I read a book, for example, Montaigne, and then I read that he took 20 years of his life to create this, a bunch of essays. And I've always been so fascinated with this because how come these works endure centuries later, decades later? I'm still reading this. I'm still reading this book 500 years later. How come? And what can I learn from this? A lot of what I see all over social media, it seems to be almost like the other way around. And we tend to always follow what the social media gurus and influencers are telling us. And I think there is values to some extent. But actually, what we should actually be studying is the classics and how these people create such masterpieces and how these works actually endure over such a long period of time. And whenever I study these authors or these public figures who have created masterpieces, Marie Curie, who else? Picasso, Dostoevsky, all of these people, it almost felt like such a lifelong devotion to something higher than themselves. And I really think that we can learn so much artists from artists who have created such masterpieces instead of following what your favorite social media influencer may say. I think there's so much value in actually looking back in history. Can you imagine it took 120 years to build the St. Peter's Basilica? It took 15 years for Debussy to release Clair de Lune, which is a melody that we still listen to this day, and it moves our hearts. It moves our hearts so much. It's like, for me, Clair de Lune, or any song and any piece by Debussy, I don't know, it explains something that I could not really explain. It evokes something out in me that I wouldn't be able to explain into words. Or even Leonardo da Vinci, who took 16 years to paint the Mona Lisa. Can you imagine spending 16 years painting Mona Lisa, 16 years working on a project? But we have seen that these works actually endure, these works last throughout time. And I think obviously it's not necessarily just because of the speed, because there are pieces that are considered masterpieces. For example, Picasso's Guernica, which only took 37 days to create, but it is considered a modern masterpiece. So I don't think it's the speed that we should solely be looking at, even though I do feel that most masterpieces that have been created in this world, they took many, many years. But I do feel that our current generation, we focus so much on the speed. We focus so much on how we can get there fast, how we can go viral fast, especially women like who really want to become content creators. And I'm not even gonna judge because I'm one myself and I've benefited from social media a lot. But there's this narrative of I need to get viral in 30 days. It's gonna change my life. It's gonna change the course of my life. And yes, it will change your life. But I actually am more interested in learning about who you actually become in the process of achieving that goal. Not necessarily you achieving that goal, but actually how you are transformed while devoting yourself to a certain art. So, what can these artists actually teach us about creating work that truly lasts? Work that actually stands the test of time. Even 500 years later, people will still be reading the work. Like, what is that factor? Number one, I think we need to understand what art actually is. Art is actually an experience that the artist undergoes, willingly undertakes, and it's a whole immersion experience. It's something that, for example, you think of method acting. Method acting is when you also kind of become the character outside and off screen, so that your performance on screen, it becomes more raw and more authentic. And sometimes it can be at their own cost. If you think of the case of Heath Ledger, I'm not really sure how to even pronounce his last name. He played Joker and he was so immersed in this character, even off screen. And people speculate that it might be the reasons why he was so depressed at the end of his life is because he really immersed in this art. Or even if you have read the book The Picture of Dorian Gray, the painter Basil Hallward, he finishes this painting of Dorian Gray, and at the end he's like, I cannot put this into the public because I reveal too much of myself in this. And that is literally what the artist does. The artist immerses himself in an experience, whether it's observing an object, an emotion, being so devoted to it, and then turning this obscure thing into the world and shedding light into the obscure things. And that's why, for example, I mentioned when I listen to Clair de Lune, there's something that I genuinely feel inside of me. I cannot explain it. It's something that the artist has revealed to me. And Heidegger actually talked about this, the process of unconcealment. You know, unconcealment is something that artists actually do. That is the whole meaning behind art, is to shed light into things that were once obscure. It's, for example, the poet. I actually saw this interview once, and basically there's this interviewer who asked the poet, like, how do you create such beautiful poems? Like, how do you find the words, and how do you make it all rhyme? And the poet is just there like, I don't really care too much about the words and how it sounds. I simply immerse myself in an object or an emotion so deeply. I feel the emotion so deeply, almost like a devotion. And then I have to render it justice with the words. I have to actually accurately describe the object or the emotion that I am feeling. And that's how the alchemy of the poet works. It's they bring this obscure thing, this obscure emotion like love, and then they describe it with such depth and precision. That is the beauty of the artist. That's what the artist actually does. And I fear if we're constantly trying to copy someone else's success, you know, we're trying to replicate how they got viral in 30 days, how they earn a certain amount in 30 days. We are totally losing this immersion and this devotion to a lifelong work. Not only lifelong work, but actually to work that is actually meaningful, that actually requires transformation within you. It is not necessarily about the outcome. And that is something that I honestly learned from writing essays, which honestly, it is one of the best decisions that I've made, because writing essays on Substack, it's actually really for myself. It has really helped me form my opinions and my thoughts on certain things. When I'm starting an essay, when I'm starting a piece, I have no idea where I'm going with this. You know, I see a door opening, I'm like, okay, let's go into it. Oh, never mind, there's nothing to explore there. Okay, let's go into this. It's this whole process that I have no idea. In the beginning, I don't know where my writing will go. That is how artists actually create meaningful work. They're totally surrendered to the experience. If you're constantly focused on the outcome, on the results, and how fast you can get there, which, fair enough, a lot of us naturally focus on outcomes. 100% understand that. However, it seems like it's the only thing that we cling on to. That is our version of success, is how fast we can get there, how viral we can get in 30 days. And we're totally forgetting about the process. And there's so many of you probably watching who want to become content creators, who want to earn a certain amount. I get it. I get it. I've been there. Okay. And let me tell you, from trying so hard, so many different tactics, it is actually so exhausting and so unfulfilling. And as of recently, and I'm telling you, ladies, it's been 2 months that I've actually taken it really, really slow and tuned out all of the noise, all of the advice, all of the social media guru advice. I've tuned out all of that and really focused on my craft and my devotion to you ladies, to my women. I'm obsessed with women and helping women. And it's a whole devotion. It's not something that I can actually replicate through an ebook or a course. Don't get me wrong, some of them are pretty helpful, okay? But it's not something to be replicated. Art cannot be replicated. If you want to create meaningful work, you need to actually immerse yourself fully into what you're doing. Don't care too much about the outcome yet. Don't care too much about how fast you're going to get there. You need to actually surrender yourself to this whole process, because that is how you will be transformed. That is how you will actually be transformed. And that is when the original work actually comes out. But at the end of it, when the work is finished, and it's this whole, it's almost like a summary of everything that you faced and every emotion that you felt during this whole creation, during this whole process. And someone sees that painting, someone reads that book, and it touches their heart, it moves their soul. That is what meaningful work does. It moves people's soul. I really want you to start thinking about the things that you want to devote yourself to without all of these restraints and without all of this noise. That's why I really, honestly, I have to get off social media so much and really just focus on my craft. Create more than you consume. A lot of us are consuming so much, so many strategies, so many ways. I need to become a content creator by 2 months. No, ladies, I'm telling you, the way I started, I didn't even know it was going to lead this far. And actually, I totally immersed myself in classics before even starting a social media page. Is something that I'm deeply passionate about, and I just wanted to show it to the whole world and show the beauty of it to the whole world. And then that's where people actually really resonated. I had no idea that people cared about who Dostoevsky. In my own life, nobody really cared about Dostoevsky, and I started posting about Dostoevsky around 2 years ago now, and all of you started resonating. And it honestly, that is because I did not focus on the outcome right away. I did not focus on the eyeballs and who's gonna like this, who's gonna, no. Immerse yourself fully into work, and actually people will feel that connection and that authenticity. That's what makes people fall in love with your work. That's why we still have the Mona Lisa years and centuries later. That's why we still have Montaigne, his essays that he wrote. I still am reading this 500 years later. That's how we even have scripture. The most important works, the works that actually endure the most, is because of the process that the artist decides to go through, sometimes at their own cost, as we have seen. And I think that's why we really cannot be idolizing things outside of God. But actually, I would really argue that the artist really is used by God to express something that most people can't. It is a channel of divine expression. I really believe in that. It is a channel of divine expression, and it unites people. And it's really this process that we go through as humans, this crazy human experience. When we decide to devote ourselves to something, that's truly when we feel things in deeper and deeper and deeper levels. And I really feel like it's actually a channel of divine expression. And you cannot get that from following an ebook, a course. You can only get that when you actually devote yourself to something higher. So this is just my encouragement to you ladies to start looking into that and to tune out all of the noise. I highly recommend you ladies to actually read Brave New World. And this dopamine that we're so obsessed with, we're so obsessed with getting instant results constantly. It's because we have access to instant gratification. We have access to all of this so quickly. So we bring that same brain to our career, to our work, to our family, to our relationships. We want everything instant. And don't even get me started on meaningful relationships, because it's all linked. Creating meaningful work, creating meaningful relationships, meaningful careers, it's all linked. Please pay attention to your brain, the things that you're consuming. Pay attention and pursue depth. Pursue depth. Study the classics. See what is the process behind this, and you will be mind blown. You want to leave this earth with something of value, with a sort of legacy. It's not just about you, it's about every single person that are impacted through your devotion to an art. The fact that we have all of these masterpieces is because once there was a person who decided, okay, I'm devoting myself to understanding this, to portraying this, and I'm gonna fully immerse myself in here. And this is the approach that I want you ladies to go through. Go the slow way. Take your time. The artist does not care about how much time it takes him to create a Mona Lisa or a cathedral. I mean, maybe to some extent, but still, what the artist actually cares about is what can I actually convey to the world? What can I bring out of obscurity to the world? What can I shed light on? That is what you should care about. What is your devotion, ladies? What is your devotion? All right, I hope this was an encouragement to you ladies. I love it guys so much. And if you want to pursue a life of depth and be surrounded with a community that will support you into this, join Mademoiselle Society, ladies. The community is actually growing so much. And I thank you ladies so, so, so much. And on that note as well, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, but with my community in the past, I've always had this, okay, I need to grow. I need so many women to join for it to be a strong community. I need this amount by this month. And I totally changed my philosophy as of recently. I'm going to make the welcoming experience as beautiful as possible. I'm going to be so intentional with these ladies and me focusing on each lady at a time. My community has grown so much more than in the last few months, and it's because I really put my focus, and I don't care too much of the timelines. I don't care too much of the when I'm gonna become a millionaire. No, forget about that. I'm devoting myself to the ladies. This is where I started. This is where I'm continuing. So this, I figured that I also shared the example that I'm currently living in, and I'm so forever grateful for you guys. And yeah, have a blessed day or have a blessed night wherever you are, and I'll see you guys next time. Mwah.